Celtics. Shock trade alert. Is a starter leaving today? Inside details. Speak up, Celtics Nation. Take a deep breath because today could be one of those days when we wake up and the squad is no longer the same. If you follow every game, defend this team in any conversation and have already become attached to the starters. You know the pain it is to see an important player leaving out of nowhere. And the worst part, when the news breaks, it seems like everyone already knew, except us. But stay with me for the next few seconds, because I'm going to show you what's behind this surprise transaction alert, who might be at the center of it, and most importantly, what the Celtics stand to gain from this decision, with exclusive details, scenario by scenario, without the fluff. If you want to understand what is real, what is smoke, and how this changes the team from today onwards, leave a like and come with me. Before I give you the details, do the following quickly. Subscribe to the channel so you don't find out about these bombs until after they've already happened. Here we follow the Celtics every day, without any fuss. And like it now, because if this exchange is confirmed, this video will be a reference and a like will help a lot to deliver it to more fans. Also, activate the bell so you can receive an alert when I release an update, because on a hot rumor day, a minute is worth its weight in gold. And now I want to know, do you think the Celtics would have the courage to move a starter today? Comment yes or no below, and stay with me until the end, because I'm going to show you the most likely scenario and the name that almost no one is saying. Let's go. If I asked you right now, very directly, what is the one thing you fear most when the Celtics finally start to get going? I bet the answer wouldn't be losing a game, because we lose in the game. Season has ups and downs. What really makes your chest tighten is when a rumor appears big enough to shake the entire board. Those that don't just affect one team, they affect the entire conference. And by the way, they reach our path to the long-awaited Flag 18. So let me talk to you calmly, as if we were sitting down watching the best moments of the last game with our heads still full of possibilities. Because yes, the Celtics were building something that seemed solid, stable, almost inevitable. That kind of phase where you look at the team and think, now go. Not just because of the winning streak or the attitude on the court, but because of a collective feeling of maturity. The team began to impose rhythm, control what can be controlled, and survive chaos when the game calls for it. And that, for a real contender for the title, is worth more than any isolated statistic. But just when the mood starts to get good, a subject appears that changes the tone of the conversation: Anthony Davis. And it's not just any superficial rumor. It's the kind of news that raises an uncomfortable question. And if that happens, who is there for this new scenario in the East? Let's put the pieces on the table. When a player of Davis's size comes on the agenda as a trade target, the topic is no longer just which team will try. The subject becomes what happens to everyone if someone succeeds. Because like it or not, when he's healthy, he's a player who changes defense, changes attack, changes series plan. It even changes the way an opponent throws. And it's not an exaggeration. His presence near the rim alters split-second decisions. Players who would normally attack the basket think twice. Teams that live off infiltration need to redirect the attack. And in the playoffs, when every possession weighs like a stone, that makes a difference. Now, imagine that kind of impact ending up in the hands of a team from the East that is already on our direct route. Imagine a team with good defense, good energy and ambition, adding a name that on big nights looks like a wall with infinite arms. The feeling is not good, and I know you feel this too. What makes everything more tense is the psychological timing. Because the Celtics aren't just trying to be good, the Celtics are in historic charge mode. It's Flag 18. It's the kind of goal that doesn't accept excuses because the franchise doesn't live on promises. It lives on legacy. And when you see the team creating consistency, consolidating identity, growing with leadership, the last thing you want is an external element that increases the level of difficulty without warning. And here comes the main point of the video. It's not about being afraid of Anthony Davis. It's about understanding the domino effect. If a team like Toronto, Atlanta, or Detroit, who are mentioned as interested, decides to put its house in order to look for a name of this weight, the message is clear. We want to cut corners. And cutting corners in the NBA usually means one thing: increasing the ceiling immediately, even if it pays dearly in the short term. The question I ask you is simple. How many Eastern teams do you want to see are pressing the accelerator at the same time? Because in theory, the East can seem open at certain times, but in practice it becomes a narrow corridor when the series begins, and the Celtics need space to breathe, to impose rhythm, to make their talent count. If you add another defensive anchor of this level to a rival, you reduce margins. You create more physical games, more long series, more nights where the offense needs to be perfect, and then suddenly, it's not enough to be excellent. You need to be excellent under pressure, with the opponent adjusting, with more permissive refereeing, with accumulated fatigue, and with the opposing squad believing that it's okay now. But there's another layer, and this is where the conversation gets more adult. Anthony Davis also carries risk, and it's not a small risk. We are not talking about a player who missed a few games. We are talking about a history in which availability becomes part of the debate whenever someone tries to build a project around it. This means that any team that pursues Davis will likely have to pay dearly in salary and assets without a full guarantee of continuity. And I don't say that to belittle the player. I speak because it is the reality of the business. A franchise that accepts this risk needs to be convinced that it's worth it and needs to believe that the reward outweighs the cost. But remember, even if the risk exists, the potential damage for the Celtics can happen just because of the movement itself. Think with me. If a rival makes the switch and, despite the risk, starts to play with more presence in the paint, more rim protection, more physical imposition, the Celtics are forced to prepare for this scenario. The Celtics are forced to spend mental energy and planning on something new. And in playoffs, preparation is everything. One detail changes a game, one game changes a series. So, yes, for us, there is a lose-lose feeling in terms of comfort. If Davis succeeds against a rival, the path becomes tougher. If it goes wrong, the rival can become disorganized. But the period of turbulence and adaptation has already forced the Celtics to spend focus and preparation resources. Not to mention the noise, the narrative, the media, the external pressure. Sometimes, what matters most isn't what happens on the court. It's the noise around what can happen. Now, let me bring this to our side, to the real Celtics, the Celtics you watch and feel. The best news amid any rumor is to remember why the Celtics are strong. And here I want to be very clear with you. The Celtics are strong because they have an identity. It's not just talent. It's not just a deep cast. It's identity. You can tell when a team has an identity when it wins without being good. When the ball doesn't fall, but the defense holds it. When the rhythm doesn't fit, but the team doesn't despair. When the opponent makes a run, and the Celtics respond with controlled possession, attack with reading, defense with positioning, that's a big team. And, within that, Jason Tatum became the centerpiece not just for what he scores, but for what he stabilizes. He is the type of player who, when he is mature, transforms the environment. And you know what I'm talking about? There are times when a leader changes the team's expression. The Celtics, on their best days, play with the attitude of someone who knows exactly what they want to achieve. So the question is, if the East gets more dangerous, how do the Celtics respond? There are two paths. The first is the path of confidence, maintaining the core, protecting the chemistry, believing that the current level is enough to get through any series. The second is the path of active response, seeking reinforcements, adjusting rotation, increasing alternatives so as not to depend on a single plan. And both paths make sense depending on what the market offers. What I don't want, and I imagine you don't want either, is to see the Celtics panic because of the rumor. Because panic makes teams make mistakes. Panic makes the franchise pay more than it should. Panic makes us give up useful pieces for catchy names. And in modern basketball, depth and fit win as many games as big name. But I also don't want to see the Celtics standing still out of pride, as if adjustments were prohibited. Champion team adjusts. Champion team understands the moment. Champion team doesn't fall in love with a photo of the present. It builds the path until June. So when we talk about a rumor like this, the solution is not to fear. The solution is to read the scenario coldly and at the same time with ambition. The solution is to look and say, if the East gets tougher, we need to have answers. Rotation, rim protection, rebound, and defensive variation responses, responses to different attacks, answers to games where the shot doesn't fall. And I'll tell you something that few people like to admit. Sometimes what separates the champion from the runner-up is not the main star. It's the second and third answer. It's plan B, plan C. It's the ability to survive a bad night and still win. Now, go back with me to the Davis rumor and think about 3 scenarios in the most honest way possible. Scenario 1. He goes to a rival and plays healthy. This is the scenario in which the East gains a new real obstacle, more physical series, more difficult bottle, most disputed possessions, and the Celtics need to be prepared to win even when the game gets ugly, because playoffs are sometimes ugly, and those who accept the ugly generally get further. Scenario 2. He goes to a rival and gets hurt again. The rival may lose assets, lose flexibility, and become stuck. But the Celtics, by the time they realize this and are sure of what is happening, will have already spent time and energy preparing. Furthermore, the rival's simple attempt signals aggressiveness and ambition, which can influence other movements in the market. Scenario 3. He's not going anywhere. Here, many people breathe a sigh of relief, but the market doesn't stop. If it's not Davis, it could be another name, and the message continues. Teams are looking for shortcuts, and the Celtics need to be ready for whatever comes, not just one specific rumor. And that's why I like to bring you into the conversation in a practical way. When you hear news like that, what changes in your mind about the Celtics? Do you think we're fine the way we are? Or do you think we need one more piece? I'm not going to push you a ready-made answer, because if there's one thing I respect about Celtics fans, it's their ability to see nuance. Here, it is not a question of wanting to exchange for wanting. It's about understanding the title window. And title window, when it's open, doesn't wait. What I can do, and this is my proposal with this video, is organize the noise, take away the feeling of chaos and turn it into reading, because rumor, in itself, is wind. What matters is the direction of that wind and what it can knock down. And then I return to the essence. The Celtics are building a season that looks like a big goal, and when that happens, everything around becomes noisier. Rivals move, journalists publish more, agents stir, fans are on alert. It's part of the game. It's the price of being at the top. Now, I want you to pay attention to one thing. The Celtics don't need to be perfect to be champions. It needs to be adaptable, and adaptability starts with reading. It starts with the coaching staff understanding that certain series will require a heavier game, others will require more speed, others will require more perimeter defense. And it starts with the front office preparing the roster to respond without destroying what's already working. And do you know what the best part is? The Celtics have the human material for that. It has leadership. There are players used to big games. It has a base that has already experienced the weight of being charged. And that, in June, is worth a lot. Because playoffs are not just about talent. It's nerve, it's discipline, it's decision-making under pressure. Therefore, when I tell you that the Anthony Davis rumor is scary, it is not to generate despair. It's to remember that the NBA doesn't give rest, and that the Celtics, if they want flag 18, need to be ready to win no matter what, in the beautiful game and in the difficult game. So I make a direct invitation to you, as someone who really wants to build this channel with you, and not just tell you, participate with me. Tell me in the comments, honestly. Do you believe that Anthony Davis in the East really changes the level of the conference? Which of these teams, in your view, would be the most dangerous fit for us? And, more importantly, do you think the Celtics need to respond with movement, or is the answer to continue growing with what they already have? And if you've stayed this far, it's because this subject also resonated with you. So don't let this video die here. Sign up for the Celtics Talk Show because the season is long, the market changes quickly, and fans who want to truly understand need constant monitoring, calmly, analytically, and responsibly. Leave a like so I know that this more in-depth format makes sense to you. And activate the bell, because when a rumor like that becomes something concrete, the difference between hearing it later and understanding it immediately is huge. Now, breathe, because the truth is one. If the East gets tougher, the Celtics cannot lose their identity. You can adjust, you can reinforce, you can prepare, but you can't change your character. And if you maintain what you have been building, With intelligence and consistency, Flag 18 will continue to be more than a dream. It remains a possible destination. Let's follow this together, step by step. And I want you here with me in the next video. And now I want you to stop and think with me for 2 seconds. If this rumor becomes reality, the East doesn't just get tougher, it changes shape. The weight of each series changes. The level of demand changes. The size of the error you can make in a possession changes. And that's exactly why this moment is so important. Because while some people will just stick to the noise, the headlines, and empty speculation, here we do what needs to be done. We read the scenario, understand the signs, and prepare for what comes. And if there's one thing I learned from watching the Celtics, it's that a title isn't about having the best team on paper. It's about being ready to cross a road that changes all the time without losing your identity. If Anthony Davis falls to the East, the question is no longer who won the trade. The question becomes who is prepared to survive the new East and arrive in June in one piece. And I'll tell you, the Celtics have everything it takes to be that team. But the margin for error gets smaller, and every decision counts twice. So if you want to continue at this level of analysis, with context, with rotation reading, with real impact on the game and on the path to Flag 18, I have a simple and direct request. Go now to the pinned comment and open the Celtics Analysis playlist. There I organized everything you need to understand this Celtics from end to end. What is working, what needs to be adjusted, what are the most likely scenarios, and how each rumor could affect our destiny. Click on the Celtics Analysis playlist in the pinned comment and watch the next video straight away, because the season is heating up, the trade deadline is approaching, and here you won't be left behind. And I want you with me. Comment below if you think this bomb really explodes or if it will go up in smoke. And also say what, in your opinion, would be the perfect response from the Celtics to protect the path to Flag 18. See you now on the playlist, because it's not just news here. This is Celtics. Here is vision. This is Flag 18.